King's Corner. Hope you all are having a wonderful, wonderful Wednesday. Sorry I wasn't able to get a video last night. Had football practice, went a little late, got home a little late. Was a little tired, took a shower, went to bed. So pretty much what I was going to talk about yesterday was, I know what I said on Monday. And I'm not backing off of that point. Because everything I said was absolutely true. Right now, Wentz is playing atrocious. And Dak's playing a lot better. But there is one thing I still want to get off my chest. Eagles fans, there is hope for optimism. There's room for it. There's proof of it. And I know what you're saying. 0-2. What 0-2 Eagles team has ever succeeded? Oh, wait, there's one. 2003. And when you actually read in that 2003 season, it almost seems as if it's an exact reflection of this season. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, you're just saying that. You're being utterly ridiculous. All right, let me just start out with this. 2003 was the 5th year in the Andy Reid, Donovan McNabb era, correct? 2020, 5th year, the 2000 of the Carson Wentz, Doug Peterson era. Both teams started out 0-2. Lost 2 games brutally, horribly, embarrassed us. One of those games we lost was to the Buccaneers. And then the next game, and the game before that, we lost to New England. And in 2003, New England was coming off a year they didn't make the playoffs. Plain and simple. But the reason I say it's eerily similar, because even though both of those teams at 0-2, everybody thought they were horrible, the quarterback situation was the exact same. No, Donovan McNabb didn't have Jalen Hurts waiting. But Donovan McNabb was actually playing worse than what Wentz is now. And I didn't think that was possible until I looked into it. In 2003, Donovan McNabb started the year off with 413 yards, no touchdowns, 3 picks, and a 41.6 passer rating. In 2020, Carson Wentz started the year off with 512 yards. He's got 2 touchdowns, 4 picks, and a 64.6 passer rating. When looking at those numbers, what's that say to me? Well, Wentz is actually having a statistically better season than McNabb. But that doesn't really matter to me because I want wins. I don't care about stats. This team does have the room to turn it around. And listening to Carson Wentz and Doug Peterson's press conferences today made me so happy. And I know you're thinking, well, it's just a press conference. The demeanor they were talking with just seemed motivated. I like where Carson Wentz's mindset's at. I like where Doug Peterson's mindset at. And there was a story that came out a couple weeks ago that Wentz and Peterson aren't on the exact same level. That's utterly ridiculous. Wentz has always said, and still states to this day, Doug Peterson is like a father figure to him. Doug Peterson and Carson Wentz are like, probably right now they're about this. But the media wants you to believe they're like this. And next thing, Max Kellerman. You keep saying Carson Wentz switches up plays at the line of scrimmage every single play Doug Peterson calls. Max, I please and I hope you know anything about football. That's a quarterback's job. You're supposed to go to the line of scrimmage. You're supposed to call a play that works. 99.9% of the time, the play the coach calls doesn't work. Because he's not on the field, he can't see it. This is why they have a mic in their helmet to switch the play to something that will work. Now granted, Wentz's plays aren't working right now. That's got to be fixed, but it will. But yeah, that's my pretty much saying there's a room for optimism and there's reason for it. But for the meat and potatoes of this video, I want to talk about my Kings rankings. And for the first time in my lifetime, the top 5 teams are about 80% AFC. I'd never think I'd say that in my entire life. Because I've always viewed the AFC as the Eastern Conference of the NBA, and the NFC was always like the Western Conference. Well, right now it doesn't seem that way. My top 5 teams are as follows. Number 5, Pittsburgh. What can I say? Big Ben looks back. Big Ben looks healthy, and he probably looks the best he's looked in a couple years. And yes, I'm counting 2018. Because if you gave Big Ben that AB now, he'd probably throw for 6,000 yards. Big Ben's arm looks stronger and healthier in a while than it has in a while. Their run game, even though James Conner's a little banged up, it still looks productive. Jalen Samuels, wow. He has some explosiveness to him. Juju is back. Smith-Schuster's returned. That defense, I knew it was going to be good, but I didn't expect it to be this good. I thought it would be a top 5 defense. That looks like a top 5 defense of all time. That defense looks scary. I know Jeff Driscoll sort of was able to put 21 points on the board. But there's a difference between scheming and not knowing what a player is going to play like. The reason I say that, one, the Steelers were game planning for a new offensive coordinator. Pat Shurmur had never been the offensive coordinator of the Broncos until this year. And two, they were game planning for Drew Lock. Well, Drew Lock got hurt, and they didn't know what to throw at Jeff Driscoll because they never seen any footage on Jeff Driscoll. I guess they weren't guessing he'd be in the game, which nobody was. But Steelers are my number 5 team. My number 4 team, Buffalo. Josh Allen has arrived. I said when he was coming out of the 2018 draft, I would have took him number 1 overall. Right now, that looks like I was wrong. He probably should have went number 2. Because Lamar's obviously the number 1 overall pick in that draft class. But, wow. Buffalo's defense, coaching staff, everything looks amazing. Buffalo looks good. I told you they're probably going to go 12-4, 13-3. They might go a little better than that. And I know they just beat the Dolphins and the Jets. We are in the COVID era. Every team's not going to be an easy walkthrough. Maybe the Jets, but that's pretty much about it. But the Dolphins are a good team this year. I know they lost to New England in New England, but how many teams have ever gone to New England week 1 to beat Bill Belichick? Maybe you can name one. I struggle to even do that. Number 3, this might shock a couple people. Kansas City. And the reason I say it might shock people, because people are probably expecting them to be my number 1 or number 2 team. But they can't be in my top 2. Not after what they performed on Sunday. What was that? That was a crap show. I mean, yeah, they won because of Patrick Mahomes' greatness. He probably threw the greatest pass I've ever seen. I mean, I still don't know how he threw that pass. But they got outplayed. Justin Herbert looked amazing. Kansas City's got a couple problems. They better fix it. Pat Mahomes looked very average for 3 quarters. I didn't think I'd ever say that sentence. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. What happened to him after week 1? I'm not expecting him to be great every game, but maybe make a little noise. But Kansas City, they're my number 3 team. I think that's pretty easy. Number 2, Seattle. I think we got to start changing their name to the Russell Wilsons. Russell Wilson looks amazing. He is the MVP. Through 2 weeks of the season, he is the best quarterback in the league. And I don't actually think it's necessarily close. I don't want to hear Mahomes. I don't want to hear Jackson. I don't want to hear anybody. It's Russell Wilson. My top 4 quarterbacks right now in the league go as this. Number 1, Russell Wilson. Number 2, Russell Wilson. Number 3, Russell Wilson. Number 4, Pat Mahomes. Number 5, Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson looks absolutely stunning. He has only 2 more incompletions than he does touchdowns. What? That's incredible. I didn't think I'd ever see that. Pete Carroll finally learned how to coach a game. And I know he won a Super Bowl. But I'm talking about he finally is using the strengths of Russell Wilson. It's about time, Pete. And you all know who my number 1 team is. It's Baltimore. They're the best team in the league. It's not even close. It's Baltimore, then it's the rest of them. They're scared. In a salary cap era, you're not expecting a team to have no weaknesses. You look up and down that Baltimore roster, you can't find one weakness. We were thinking maybe it would be linebacker this year. Their backup linebacker produces. L.J. Fort, that touchdown he had against Houston, oh my goodness. Wow. Stunning. That defense, scary. That offense, wow. And I finally realized who Lamar Jackson is. Lamar Jackson is football's Michael Jordan. I know you're going to say, what about Pat Mahomes? Pat Mahomes is more the Pat Mahomes to me is the LeBron James of the football. He can do everything. Lamar Jackson, he's the Michael Jordan. He's the highlight reel. He's the highlight reel. When you're watching a Lamar Jackson game, you're guaranteed 4 to 5 highlights a game. There's no other quarterback in history that's ever moved as good as he does. I don't want to hear Vic. I don't want to hear Cunningham. I don't want to hear McNabb. I don't want to hear any of them. Because there's Lamar Jackson, and then there's every other dual threat quarterback. No offense to Randall Cunningham, because I love you. But you're not Lamar Jackson. So to recap my top 5, I got Pittsburgh at 5, Buffalo at 4, Kansas City at 3, Seattle at 2, and Baltimore at 1. Thank you for watching this episode of King's Corner. I hope you all have a wonderful Wednesday.